join me for a moment of silence in memory of the victims of Friday's horrific massacre in Binghamton. Our hearts go out to their families and to the entire community. Leaders of New York's gorgeous mosaic of faith communities, Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, Sikh, have come together this morning to say the time has come to reform our broken immigration system. So undocumented mothers and fathers are no longer deported, leaving families shattered, children traumatized, sometimes ending up in foster care. So immigration raids can end, and with it the terrorizing of whole communities. So deportations without due process will end, and detentions in facilities where too often detainees die for lack of medical care. So we can silence the cable TV anchors and the extremists that fuel bigotry and foment violence against immigrants. In short, the time has come to replace policies and actions that violate religious precepts and American values with a comprehensive law that is just and humane. We are honored that Congressman Charles Rangel will join us later this morning as we call for a new immigration law that enables 12 million undocumented immigrants to come out of the shadows and gives them the chance to earn legal status and ultimately citizenship.
The current immigrant system is broken. Raids, arrests, detentions, and deportations are not the answer. The inhumane situation of the millions upon millions of undocumented residents among us and their families is not acceptable to what America stands for, let alone to what faith community stands for.
Good morning, everyone. Peace be unto you all. Assalamu alaikum. As a Harlem-based Muslim leader here in New York City with citywide and national affiliations, I am honored to join the members of the New York State Interfaith Network for Just and Humane Immigration Reform this morning. Now that the election is behind us and we are all moving to address issues of governance under the leadership of President Obama, it behooves us to resolve the immigration questions that have too long gone unanswered in our nation. As an American of African descent, the irony of what has come to be viewed as, and I quote, the complex and controversial issues, unquote, of immigration in our time in a land of immigrants has never been lost to me. My African ancestors were brought here in an act of what has been politely called forced immigration or forced migration, and it's seen for many years that once European immigrants had come to this land by the millions in pursuit of the American dream, that the doors would then close to others from the so-called third world who wanted to do the same.
The U.S. immigration system remains broken. Families are still in jeopardy of being separated. Individuals continue to be in danger of being deported. And as we've heard this morning, immigrant workers are still being exploited. As Catholics and communities of faith, we have a moral responsibility to advocate for just and humane immigration reform that values the dignity and respect of each human being. To quote Bishop Thomas Wensky of Orlando, Florida, the so-called illegals are not so because they wish to defy the law, but because the law does not provide them with any channels to regularize their status in our country, which needs their labor. They are not breaking the law is breaking them. On behalf of the Diocese of Brooklyn and Queens, the most diverse diocese in our country, we strongly advocate for comprehensive immigration reform. Reform that upholds family unity as a priority for all immigrant policies, a reform that protects the workers and provides efficient channels of entry for new immigrants and workers, a reform that aligns the enforcement of immigration laws with humanitarian values. And most of all, as a people of faith, we call attention to the moral dimensions of public policy and recommend reforms that uphold the God-given dignity of every human being made in the image and likeness of our God. Thank you.
I am the grandson of 4 immigrants. One of my grandmothers was, I believe, an illegal immigrant. And I come here now as a rabbi to share with you these thoughts that are fundamental to our religious experience. And I'll do them first in their original Hebrew, because Rach mikem yeh lechem hager hagar itachem, v'ahavta lo kamocha, ki gerim hayitem be'eretz Mitzrayim. The stranger that sojourns with you shall be to you as the homeborn among you, and you shall love the stranger as yourself, because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. My grandparents were strangers and lived in a land that I don't know and have a difficult time imagining. But there stirred in all of them an extraordinary hope that allowed them to traverse borders, to encounter languages they did not understand. Somebody must have helped them as they made their way to the seaport. Somebody helped them on those boats, and somebody met them when they came to these shores. They were helped. Today, that same hope stirs in the hearts of countless millions. And we have come here today, I have come here today, to remind myself and all of us that it is wrong to criminalize the hope that stirred in my grandparents' hearts, the hope of opportunity. So let us make sure that we do not criminalize that.
People in towns and villages throughout these United States hiring the people to do all their domestic work, and then at nighttime say they got to arrest them with these ridiculous raids, which they know. And not only does it make any moral sense, but we don't have enough resources to hire people to investigate where the undocumented workers are, to arrest them, to arraign them, and to deport them. Forget about it. No one talks about doing this. They just talk about making life miserable for the people that they can attack because they are so helpless. So very, very helpless. It's only to abuse or to use these people. So I really don't think it's just a question, Reverend Clergy, of what we do with the Mexicans who come here for hope, to fulfill the dream, to check out the Statue of Liberty, to work for us for substandard wages, without health insurance, without any protection. I really think that it's kind of hard today to find any issue that's more moral than this. Because you're dealing with people that are scared to death and saying who they are. What kind of world is it that you can't even make a plea for justice, equity, fair play, all of those things? And so, this may be my time to go back to the church.